All right, Uncle Sam FM here. We are on episode number 5. Kind of hard to believe I've made this many of these things. But we are going to look at, real quick, briefly, for this episode. This will be a short episode probably. But we'll be looking at just bog standard senior squad players. In MLS, you're allowed to have 20 players on your senior squad. These are really just these are going to be your most significant contributors for the most part. Your senior squad players are anyone whose salary goes from $65,000 a year to $475,000 a year. And these are not designated players, although your designated players will count on your senior squad. But these are also not your off-budget players. So everyone who is in your senior squad, these are the players who count against the salary cap, which your salary cap can be $3,850,000 per year. So I've got right now, and this is my squad here. On my senior squad, I've got 18 right now, and as you can see, these are most of my best players. These are your Albert Elise's, who's been outstanding for me this year. We'll kind of look at the performance in a little bit, but so Albert Elise, Tomas Martinez is a senior player. All my designated players are on this list. Murillo, player I've loaned in from Brazil. Kyoto, all these guys these are my senior squad, and as you can see, I've got their I've got salary on my squad screen view, so you can see how much they're making in a year. And as you can see, they all fall in that $65,000 to $475,000 range per year. The only one who's above that is Tomas Martinez, he is a designated player. But so his roster will only count what the maximum roster is against the cap. So another thing I wanted to hit on real quick was the senior minimum salary players, and these are guys who are on the minimum salary, which is $65,000 a year. They can be registered on your off-budget squad. Once you get to 10 on your off-budget squad, those senior minimum squad players will count against the cap. They'll count as senior squad players. But I only have 9. I've got, as you can tell, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reserve players. Those are on your off-budget squad no matter what, and you can only have 6 of those. And I've got 4 senior minimum squad players. So that makes 9. So I'm under the 10 limit there. So that kind of gives you an idea. And right now, this is mostly the squad that I inherited when I took the team. And to be quite frank, most of these guys stink, and there's not really any hope of them developing. Eric Bird, George Malky, these are guys who are in their mid-20s that are not MLS contributors. So they'll be gone by the end of the year. I do hope to be a little active in the summer transfer window. Find somebody to find some reserve players who can come in who actually can fill some roles at least. Like these guys, I don't even really like putting them in. They're just, almost useless. Dylan Remick, who is at SMS, he's not bad. I can put him in. He's serviceable at left back. But as for the rest, they're not guys that I really have a long-term plan for. And probably if I get eliminated from the cup, a lot of these guys I'm probably going to loan out or just cut, get rid of, because I don't like having a big squad of 30 guys whenever I've only got one competition to play and I'm playing one game a week. There's no reason to have a big, huge squad, and let there be discontent foster, as will happen as players get upset that they're not getting played. And so a lot of those guys will be loaned out or released, depending on the RGV situation, which we'll look at here in a second. So that kind of looks at senior players, senior minimum squad players. If you have any questions on that, as I know MLS rules are kind of confusing, and I probably next season, when I get ready to start the 2018 season, I'll just do an episode on my squad, on how I pick my squad, because usually what happens for me is going into the preseason, I'll have a big team. I'll have 35 guys or so because I like to bring in a lot of guys with it. Either I can develop or I can loan out, help my other team, and call them up if I need to. And so, obviously, when you have 35 players under contract, you've got some decisions to make going into the season because you can only have a 30 max. So, I'll probably do a whole episode on that to look at, and that'll give you more of an overview of all of these different components of an MLS squad together all at once, so you can kind of see how they convalesce into making an MLS team. As next year, I hope to be competing in multiple competitions, at least next fall, qualifying for Superliga, Champions League, so on. So let's kind of look at the way things have been going. The last game we did was the Vancouver win. So obviously it was an epic 5-1 victory. Albert Elise had 5 goals before Vancouver even got out of the locker room. As he dominated the Whitecaps. I subbed him out at halftime and had a great game. Put himself into the lead in scoring in MLS. And after that, had a couple of tough games. We went to Philadelphia just a few days later, and so I played my second team, and they did not do so well. We got behind Philadelphia 2-0, but we stormed back. I subbed in Moral Manotas in the second half, and he scored the equalizing goals, including the final goal in stoppage time to salvage us 1 point on the road. Then we went to Atlanta United, who is one of the better teams in MLS. They're a very attacking team. We'll just look at the stats. That was a really intense game. They deserved it. I did have more of the ball, but they obviously created more chances, had more shots. Although we were level in shots on target, and shots off target. A lot of their shots were blocked. We didn't play terrible, but would like to have been a little more organized. We were coming off a short rest, but the truth is Atlanta's good, and they played better, and they deserved the win. It was away, so we did have that going against us. But then we turned right around. The next week, played in the El Capitan Derby, and shredded FC Dallas. Dominated that game, won 4-0, which is that's a good win for us because that is the Texas rivalry. It's our big rivals, and we, for the most part, played well. Could have played better, but it was a road game. So the fact that we were able to win 4-0 on the road in Dallas at our big rival was encouraging. So we got all 3 points there, and took a big advantage in that rivalry cup. Then we had a 6-pointer against Real Salt Lake, and this one was important because Real Salt Lake is one of our top competitors for the MLS Western Conference, and that was a flurry start. So Real Salt Lake scores early to take the lead, 1-0 in the second minute, but then we take the kickoff, come right down, and Andrew Wenger puts in a goal to equalize. 2 minutes later, he gives us the lead, and then Eric Alexander added a third goal, and from there we just kind of coasted to a 3-1 win. So the last 78 minutes of the game were nowhere near as exciting as the first 12, but it was important because that, like we said, Real Salt Lake is one of the closest teams to us in the Western Conference. Seattle went on the road. Drew Seattle. That actually is a good result. That means that Seattle is one of the better teams in the league. They were struggling a little bit coming in, but in our 2 matches against Seattle, we got 4 points. If we did that against every team, we're winning the league easily. So obviously we want to win, but draw in that situation is not the worst case. So again, you look at we'll look at the full table. So you see how important that win over Real Salt Lake was, as they're only 6 points behind, whereas had they won that, we would be level on points. we would still have a game in hand, but that was an important victory. We're yet to play Sporting Kansas City, and obviously we crushed FC Dallas, had 4 points against Seattle. So our main competition for the conference right now, we've done pretty well against. We've pretty much owned. So things are looking up. That brings us to the Open Cup. We drew San Antonio, who is a second division team, the San Antonio FC. They play in the USL. We are again kind of looking out, which that happened with FC Dallas. So we played FC Dallas on the 28th. They had a match on May 28th. They had a match on May 25th. Just a few days before our game. They had, I think, maybe 2 days of rest, and then had to turn around and play us. After going to Chicago, they have to come home and play us. So, a couple times, the fixture schedule has worked out for us in big games. San Antonio, same kind of situation. Although we both had weekend matches, but I've rotated well enough to where I still have a lot of guys who are fit, but I am going to be playing some of my weaker guys. I'm giving Arteaga a start. Leonardo is getting a start. Dylan Remick coming in. Julio Rush, who is actually, he's a solid player. I'm going to let Boniek play in the midfield. I am going to start Tomas Martinez because I do want to win this. I want to advance. So I'm not going to, load up the starting 11 with all scrubs. And I've got Elise playing on the wing so that Stevie's can play in the center striker. And then I'm running Malky out there, who is actually really not very good. But against San Antonio, even those weaker guys, they're on par with San Antonio, and certainly a San Antonio that's not fit. As you can tell, looking at their starting 11, their match condition is not good. So they're either going to have to play these guys, or they're going to have to sub in some backups. And so even in this, I feel like I got a decent chance. But if I lose, it's not the end of the world. It means that I can focus on the league play and hope to qualify for the Champions League through our play in MLS. So here we go. I would like to get off to a nice start. I'm not really going to make any tactical changes. I'm going to see how I come out. Tell the guys that relax, play the game, result will come. No, it doesn't usually do very much, but at least doesn't give me negative reactions, so that I can do the old give it a college try, have faith in you business. And let's see. Always ask me when I'm rotating players. I'll just say rotation is necessary. Might you have a problem motivating the team against the proposition? Well, I have no concerns. Players know exactly what I expect of them. They better. So here we go. Open Cup. I believe the MLS clubs in the first year come in the fourth round. Most of the lower league teams have weeded themselves out. So it's all second or first division teams. I think I did see one PDL club squeeze through, maybe Miami FC, who's actually in the NPSL in my file. And get some possession near the area. Oh, nice cross. Nobody there to finish. Oh, Rush with his first goal as a Dynamo player. So far, so good. I like that possession number. Passing percentage looks good. Completion percentage. And not much is... I'm getting a lot of highlights here. Still holding strong. We are playing away at Toyota Field. I guess a little background on the Open Cup. It is the oldest competition in the United States. I think it's been being played for right around 100 years. Most MLS since it started has won it every year except for one, I believe, back in the mid 90s when the Rochester Rhinos won the Open Cup. Nice shot off a direct free kick. I never score off direct free kicks. I never worry about the free kick rating. I guess I should, but to me, there's other attributes that are a little more important. Take with a nice pass to, oh, get that. Yes, there it is. All right, so Martinez gives us the 1-0 lead. We'll have that going into the half. These are the kind of goals I like. You know, there's the counterattack goals are fun, but I'd rather possess the ball, keep the ball in their half, and finish those. So in the Open Cup, the MLS clubs just really, almost had an equalizer right there. May need to think about changing something. I'll leave it as is for now. Yeah, most MLS clubs play their reserves, young players, at least in the early rounds of the Open Cup, and then maybe when they get to the semifinals, quarterfinals, they'll start taking it a little more seriously. I remember when Seattle first made it up to MLS, they won it I think their first 2 years as an MLS team in the Open Cup. So they took it seriously, at least back then. Probably there's an element of MLS clubs underestimating the lower level teams, or maybe overestimating their own abilities. And the reality is that you roll guys out there that are not used to playing together, or not even used to playing, period, then you're bound to struggle. I don't like where my passing percentage is going. It's dipped way too low. Still have a good possession number, but I don't like getting below 80. So let's drop back a little bit. Does look like they're pushing their fullbacks up. Maybe we can go structured. Take a little less risk. I'm bringing a sub. I'm gonna leave it as is. I a lot of times will in a 1-0 scoreline in the Open Cup, I'll avoid my subs until extra time, because I'll sub in some fresh PK shooters in case this thing goes to penalties. I think it will drop down to my I've got a very, very sort of more defensive tactic in a 4-1-4-1. But if we could just go get a second goal here, kill this thing, I don't have to worry about it. Ooh, that's not good. Oh, he's offside. Thank goodness. And we'll get back in behind the D-line when I'm in this tactic, because it's D-line is dropped back a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and sub. It's just like really a time waster. Bring in Cabezas for... Let's get Arteaga out of there. And I'll drop... Let me pause. I will drop Garcia back to right back where I normally play him. And get Malky out. Bring in Minotas. And I'll leave one sub. I'll just sit on it. That way, if San Antonio gets a goal late, then we go to PKs, and I've got one sub for that. Now, not a great performance if we do hold on here, but in these cup matches, it's just survive and advance. Whatever you got to do. Boniak trying to give them a free corner kick. Just send it anywhere. Anywhere will do. And looks like that's going to kill it. Alright, so we move on, apparently. This will be the last kick of the game, surely. Yes. So another win over an in-state rival. That's nice. Big, nice, good win. 66% possession. That's to be expected against the USL team. I gave them more shots than I would have liked. But, hey, we got it done. Survive and advance. So we'll tell the guys, well done, good win. And let's head back up the road to Houston. Now we did, the schedule kind of helped us out. We had this fixture congestion with the Cup. But now we do have 10 days until our next game. So that's good. And it's good because next game is against the LA Galaxy, who is very good. LA is always one of the best teams in MLS. Yeah, and another interesting thing I saw, apparently our next opponent in the U.S. Open Cup is another USL team, and that's Tulsa. So that'll help us because then I can play some backups in that game. Apparently somebody, let's look at the fourth round results here. Somebody did not take the Ramp Open Cup very seriously because they lost to Tulsa. Who did Tulsa beat? Oh, they beat San Jose. That's an MLS team. See if there's any others. North Carolina FC got a win over Orlando City. So they're a USL team putting out an MLS team. Richmond, somehow they got drawn against Miami. That should not have happened. But they advance. So in the round of 16, you're going to have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 USL teams in the last 16 if Pittsburgh can beat New York City, which is unlikely. New York City is far and away the class of the league right now. Well, let's look at the supporter shield. Obviously, in the West, we are ahead by 6, so we're in a good situation there. In the supporter shield table, second, well, we're only 2 behind New York City, so we are we've had a nice run of goals scored, so we lead the league in goals, goals for. We're second in goals against with New York City FC, who's just they're good. My hope is that they get put out in the playoffs. If I make it to the MLS Cup, I do not want to be staring across the half line at NYCFC. I want to be looking at David Villa, Morales. I mean, that's a pretty stout team. So I would rather avoid them if at all possible. So, with that said, I will wrap up that episode. We'll look ahead to next probable episode. Probably be looking down here somewhere. Might if I make it to the Open Cup final, maybe that'll be my next video. Subscribe if you have any questions, comments, suggestions. Please use the comment section. I had one comment say that my intro video starts out a little loud, and when I listen to it, I have to agree, it was pretty loud. So I think I adjusted that right. Again, I'm not the best video editor, so if that's still kind of a pain in the neck, just let me know, and I'll work on that some more. I think I figured out how to lower that volume level. So yeah, this was Uncle Sam FM signing off.